And then turn that one. No, I'll turn mine down. I've turned it off. No, open that one up. Or I've turned mine off. Let me see if I can. No, let me, okay. I just undid mine. And I'm turning up the sound. Right. So what I'm going to mute me. All right, I unmuted. I can talk. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Chip? Chip, can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're not as clear, but try it again. Barry, can you try talking again?
No, that wasn't me.
Yeah, it's not great here. I'm gonna get something that hopefully will help.
Okay. See, that's that reverb. I am talking. I am. So what do I need to do? How about now? See? How about now?
What's that? Hopefully this.
Well,
China. China, this is Lynette. Can you hear me?
Hear us from. Hi, gang. Can y'all hear us?
Yes, Richard and Lynette can. Can you hear me, China?
Hey, can y'all hear?
We can hear.
Can y'all, let me type this in.
This really ought
So
to,
last time we were sharing Shannon's mic,
yeah.
so it need to be the one. Shannon, you cut yours off, and I guess, you cut yours off.
Linda, Cindy, Lynette, Cindy, Antoine. Can y'all?
hear?
Yes.
Yes.
They can hear us?
Yes.
you
Yes,
have
I
your
can hear
speaker
you.
back
This is
on?
Lynette. I can hear you.
Turn mine down.
Okay, can they hear now?
Can y'all still hear?
Ask them, do they hear me talking?
Yes, I can hear her talking.
Ask them.
Can you guys hear me talking?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I don't hear them at all.
Yes, can you hear me talking? This is Lynette.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
If they said they hear you, ask them again.
Give me just a second. Can y'all hear Barry talking?
Yes, I can.
You can
Yes.
hear Barry?
I
Yes,
can barely hear them though.
You hear him loud.
You can hear him loud and clear?
Yep, sure can. When he was talking,
Talk again, Barry.
All right. Everybody that can hear me, raise your hand.
it's a bit more faint now.
Anyone that can hear me on Zoom, raise
All right, how about now?
He seems gone off mic.
Can he?
anyone, if you can hear me, raise your hand. Those of you that are on Zoom, or wave at me or something, let me know you hear me. Okay, Jakisha, hey. Hey,
Hey,
Cindy. All right, so you guys hear me all right?
can now?
I can barely hear them though.
You might not need to hear us. We need to hear you.
What do you need to do there?
Mm-hmm.
As long as they can hear me, if they got a question, I guess you can hear them all right, right?
Hold on a second.
Stand by, everybody. We're gonna get ready to go in a minute.
Keep talking, Barry.
Oh, that's not hard. I'm gonna keep talking. We're a few minutes behind.
Can you still hear Barry?
Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Cindy can.
Okay. How's that?
Yes, I can hear.
I can't hear you.
She put her hand up.
Okay, yeah, you did. Okay.
We have Jakisha, Kip, Lynette, Brenda, Antoine, Jalen, and Terry.
I heard you call my name, but I can barely hear you now, John. It's a lot of interference. So the person who's on a cell phone, if you can go on mute, that might help us hear better.
Everybody, y'all doing? I hope everybody can hear me all right. I'm not hearing. But I go forward with this. If there's any problem, please let us know. I'm going to get it straightened out.
Jonna, can you mute the person on the cell phone?
First, a second. That was at our meeting. I said before.
Maybe we can't hear him. Can't hear.
And that's very.
Can't hear.
And now we cannot hear Barry.
Some of the things-
Hello.
Now, these are only suggestions, but you can add to them.
Hold on. What's wrong, Jakeisha?
We can't hear. So there's a person on the call that's on a cell phone, and we hear the interference from the cell phone, and we can't hear Barry.
All right, say that again. All right, then they couldn't
person-
hear.
There's someone on a cell phone with the area code 252. We can't hear Barry because we can hear the interference from the cell phone. So if they go on mute, we can probably.
Okay, Terry,
There we go. That's better. Much better. Now can we have Mr. Barry speak?
okay, Barry, you go again.
Okay.
Now I can hear him, but he sounds far away.
Terry is gone now, right now. He'll call back.
All right, so with everybody,
But Barry is very, very quiet. We lost his volume.
He sounds very far away, like he's in a hole.
So do I need to go?
Yeah.
Try now, Barry.
you guys hear me any better?
No better.
Barely.
That's
I
just
can hear
me.
you guys a little bit better.
Okay. Are you far away from a microphone? It sounds like you're in a hole.
Okay, how about now?
Okay. Yeah, are you standing closer to a mic? Okay, so that's the problem. You can't walk back and forth. Like it's when you walk back and forth, it's when we can't hear you. So take the mic with you, we can hear you.
So you just gonna have to stay there, sir.
Well,
Oh, or nearer to here.
you guys hear me?
Barely. And also, is there something on screen that we should be seeing?
Not yet. Well, yeah, you should see, Be Summer School, July 14th. You guys see it?
Okay. Right now, I'm just seeing people's icons switch back and forth as we talk.
I guess you gotta share that over. Okay, well, I'm gonna wait till you get to the screen. But anyway, I'll see what you talk about this, make sure that you guys can hear us. Can you hear me? Are you doing any better? Is it getting any worse? But as I stated before, the last week that we were in class, I said we were gonna do year-round beekeeping. And get ready to get started, okay? That's slide one.
Barry, you got to speak up to it for us.
Okay. Can you hear me better now? Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me any better now?
Not a lot, just a little bit.
I'm not understanding here. But okay, how about now?
That's perfect.
Perfect.
Yes,
Perfect.
that's it.
Perfect. Yes.
Stay right there. Don't move. Don't go nowhere. You stay right there and you talk, okay?
All right,
Don't move.
Okay, stand still here a minute. Let me
Yes,
do something else. Maybe I need.
I'm gonna be timing you, okay? See how long you can stand there.
Well, thank you. What do you got there? Once we get the screen going, Chip's gonna run the screen and I'm gonna talk from over here. How about that? Is that better?
Yes.
I'm gonna get that volume to work back there on that one. But anyway, look, last time, we got a few on this here, work on these, audio difficulties. But anyway, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the screen going. Have you shared it over there with him yet? Okay, then we're gonna go ahead and get started. Some of you already have been through this because, Cindy made a presentation on a couple of the months. So I think I'm gonna skip that.
So, I'm sorry, you've got to enable share for the other.
The other source.
Hold on, y'all.
Well, you've got to like make it so that, yeah.
One second.
Okay, so this one.
We're getting there.
Hold on, yeah. Let's see, this is.
Yeah. Any better out there?
They're getting it, y'all.
Okay, while they're working on that, hey, there you go. Can you guys still hear me all right? You can still hear me all right, and you should see on the screen.
Good, I can hear you.
All right, great. So what we're talking about the month, this is year-round beekeeping. What I'm saying is, there's certain months, there's certain things that you keep doing, that's gonna help keep you ahead. For your hive maintenance, your caring for your bees, checking and everything like that. So in this, where we're talking about the year-round beekeeping, there's every month, there's something for you that you should be doing. And if you've already done it, I mean, you don't have to wait till that month to do it, but if you get a chance to do it, the way I've always done it is, if I can work outside and the temperature is not bad, and the bees are not they're in trouble, I'm gonna pull some maintenance. I'm gonna do some maintenance on my equipment. You know that you got gonna come up where there are different things gonna happen. You're gonna need more equipment. You're gonna need your equipment maintained and things like that. So the first thing, as you hear, as you see here, it says clean up and salvage any and all hives. During the summer months, you probably had wax moth damage. You've had pests and other things that damage the hive, or you got hives that you're sitting that you have a chance to clean up, especially from the wax moth damage. Anybody know that? They know you got a mess on your hand. So now is the time to do that. You would clean them up. A lot of times, you're pulling the frames out. You're breaking the frames, or you broke some different things. Because some things can be just thrown away. I mean, if you can't salvage it, get rid of it. The other thing you're looking for, if you find in those hives, or you find anything here like thing like it says here, like you got some pest problems. If you have pest problems, one of the things you do too is the 24-hour sub-zero. If you got a deep freezer or freezer, that's where you put those frames. And you make that way, you make sure you kill those pests. I also, if I've had wax moth damage, I also use a plumber's torch to blacken the inside of the box or the frames where eggs could have been laid. Now, that's one of the things that I do. You can repaint boxes during that time, during the winter months like that, when it's cold and you really can't be out and the bees are not out. That's what during January and February, I'll do painting boxes. Anything that has broken off, I try to repair that. Anybody got any questions so far about January and February? Okay, move on to the next. Go to the next slide. One of the things I do want to get to is when the weather permits, bees are flying. Yeah, in North Carolina, one of the things we're notorious for is we'll have 25-degree weather today, especially during that time. Then tomorrow it'll be 60 degrees or 50 degrees. You just have to watch that. And always remember this: if you see bees flying in cold weather, know that they're burning a lot of energy and they're eating their stores. They're eating a lot of the food that's inside the hive. So that's where you got to keep a check on the food sources and everything to make sure that they have plenty of food. You don't want them to starve to death. Anytime if you ever go in a hive and you look and the bees' heads are buried deep into the cells and their rear end is sticking out and those bees are dead, those bees have starved to death. That's one of the indications you're a terrible beekeeper. The other thing is, if you do have to feed them, as you can see here, there's that recipe. And like I said, you don't want to boil your sugar. If you're gonna use it, warm water will melt it. So that's where you're gonna do the 2 pounds of sugar to 1 pint of water. And then that's what you're gonna feed that to them. And that'll help them hold their stores and until the flowers start back blooming. Like around January in this area, the red maple goes into bloom. So if the weather is better, the bees will start hauling pollen from the red maple. But the main thing is, one of the things I don't do is I don't keep honey supers on my hives in the winter because I'm not producing honey. That's just extra room that the bees need to be trying to keep warm. So if you don't need a honey super on your hive, take it off. And then you also got to remember too, if you're feeding or treating your bees, you should not be trying to produce honey. So those are the type of things that I always ask people to do. Please take your honey supers off. But most of the food should be down in the bottom. About 90 pounds of food should get bees through the winter. Okay, just gonna move that to the next. So far, anybody got any questions? Well, I move out of January and February. Okay, March. All right, most of the time in March, especially in Eastern North Carolina, we have an upturn in the weather. It says red maple here in March, but the red maple really, it also kicks in January, but now we're moving on down. One of the things that I do during that time, because I'm kind of rushing the bees along, I will do supplemental feeding. I'm not really interested in trying to produce honey. I'm really trying to increase bees in the hive, the more bees to the hive. A pollen source is an excellent way to start your early brood rearing. You got the pollen substitute that helps the queen. She'll lay more eggs. You kind of like fool her. She thinks it's spring, all that pollen coming in. But there are different types of substitutes. I'll use pollen patties. Now, the only thing is you look at your bees, you try to make sure that the hive is strong enough. Don't put a whole pollen patty on a beehive in March when the bees are weak, they're thin. Only put on there enough that bees will eat. Because one of the other things some people may not tell you, but small hive beetles are well attracted to pollen patties. So you can give yourself a problem if you're giving them more than they can eat at one time. So you want them to take all that down. Same thing with anything else you're doing. You can look at the hive. If you got a hive I call it gangbuster. I've had hives big enough in March where I can put 2 pollen patties on them. But I've also had hives I only had to cut about a half and put on them. So you have to look at that. You have to eyeball that. And but you're doing it when you're checking your hives, and you're also checking to see when the bees are not flying. But look, don't open them up. If you know tonight's going to be 18 degrees tomorrow, don't go in, open your hives up and start pulling frames out. Most everything in the winter months is a quick check. You just have to open it and get it closed back. You know, because some people like use inside feeders. I'm one of those ones. I use a out of sight, out of mind feeder. So I may have to open it up, feed, and close it right back. You don't want them to lose all that heat. And sometimes you got to keep an eye on the weather. If I see I'm going to have 2 or 3 good days where it's above 50 degrees out there in March, you better believe I'm going to try to get all the hives fed. Now, if you only got 1 or 2 hives, don't take that long. But I'll run a trail. I have to make sure everybody's fed. I see down here it's talking about possible dead outs. Dead outs are when you go, and when I was talking about a while ago, you come to a hive and you see that the bees are dead. One of the things that they will die from is if they're, like I said, they starve to death is one reason. The other reason, if you got the hive tight, they will sweat. And if the bees sweat, more than likely they're gonna freeze to death. When it gets cold, that moisture on them will cause them to freeze. There's things out there that you can use to help dry out that moisture. But if you give them a little bit of ventilation on the bottom, you'll see that you don't need that. I've used that before with the screen bottom boards. I've used that before. I put it, and I just crack it about 2 inches. You can do it, much depends on how many bees in there. You can do it as you want, but I crack it about 2 inches from the bottom, and the bees can circulate enough air. Or if you don't have a screen bottom board, you have a complete wood bottom board. I've used twigs and things like that just to crack the hive enough at the top, at the lid. And plus the bees are gonna, they're gonna prophilize that stick. But I use those expensive stick I get out of the wood. But the main thing is you want to keep a good circulation flow so you don't wind up with a lot of dead owls. Here's another thing here. Weak hives. If you got a hive that's weak going in, or you see in the winter, sometimes you get out better combining those hives. You put them together, and once you put them together and combine them, the stronger hive will help the weaker hive. But now I'm talking about a weak hive that don't have a queen in it. They don't have a queen in it. Like I said, it says here, I call them increased. For instance, they should be split. Okay, you split them. You put the weak hive on top of the strong hive. Don't ever put the weak on the bottom. You put the weak on the top, and that way they can benefit from the warmth that the strong hive is providing. They can the nurse bees from the other, all of that, they will survive. Now, some people say they don't want to do that because they're taking down a hive where they had 2 hives, now they only have 1. But if you use the 1 hive as sort of as an incubator or a surrogate hive to help that weak hive along, it's telling you here, move that hive away, and you're gonna have to put a queen. So when you move that top hive away, that's so they don't go into the other box. Some people say they do it side by side. I've always moved them away. If you move them away and you wait, they say 24 hours. I've done 24 hours. I've done 2 days. It depends on when I can get back to them. Then you can move that hive right back beside, I call that the parent hive, but you can move it right back there, and now you still got 2 separate hives. Did I make that clear as mud how to do that? Everybody understand?
Yes, I did.
You sure?
I understood what you were saying. Yes.
Okay, that's good. Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, I have a quick question. So
Yeah, go ahead.
you're saying to move them a mile, is that like a minimum? Is that exaggerated, or what's the minimum distance that you can move them away?
I've had some people tell me they do it and they move them to the backyard. I've had people tell me a mile. I've run into it, but I take them as, if you got them put them on your back of your truck, put them wherever you want. I mean, but the further away you got them, the better chances you're gonna have that hive gonna become a standalone hive. I think
Okay.
somebody told me there's some guy on YouTube, he splits them and leaves them sitting right where they are. I don't know, I never done that. How about, I'm gonna ask you a question, Cindy. Have you ever moved, what do you normally do, Cindy?
So if I'm moving a hive, yeah, I pretty much will just move it like no more than 2 feet. If I'm just trying, and then gradually hop it over to where I want it to be. But if I want to move it further than that, yeah, I go 2 miles is what I try to do.
Yeah, and that's coming from a split.
Well, and truthfully, sometimes if I'm gonna do a split, I will kind of cheat and I will put where the hive that I split with the side of the hive that I split that has the original queen, I will move as far away as I can in the yard and close them up for a day. And then the hive that I want to, that doesn't have the queen, I'm gonna let them make a queen or they have a new one. I will leave in the original position so they get all those foragers back. But I will then just kind of close the other one up for a day and remove it. And sometimes that's not the best thing to do, but sometimes I have no choice.
Okay, the reason I asked you, Cindy, is by my old term that I always say, there's more than one way to Raleigh. That works for you, and that's good. In my pollinating and when I'm moving bees around, I can move bees 5 to 6 miles away because I'm making splits constantly, in different bee yards. And I just take bees from one yard, take them with me all the way over to another yard, which may be 5 miles down the road. So, and what you said, you move it as far away in the yard as you can, that works. So
It's not the best situation,
Yeah.
but you've got luxury there.
All right. But, I hope that answers your question, but you want to separate them so you don't lose you don't want the bees that are in the split to go back to the original hive that they came out of. They have a tendency to, that's just a thing they're gonna do. They want to do that. But, did I help you with that?
You did, thanks.
All right. Okay, the other thing too, it says about the entrance reducer, I want to bring that up. The front of that hive is the front door. If that hive is weak or small, that's one of the reasons you definitely want to put an entrance reducer in there. Because bees are very opportunistic. If a strong hive know that there's a weak hive in the area, they will go and do what we call rob it out. They will actually attack those bees and take what they have. Because the bees that are guarding that small hive, you got that full entrance open. That's just too much room for them to try to guard. So when you put the entrance reducer in there, that only leaves a small place and it's easy for the bees to take and guard that area. So you guys understand why we use entrance reducers, especially on a new hive that just getting started. You want them to be able to build up before you open that front door all the way. Any questions about March? Well, April talks about if you're depending on honey, and I have some people when everybody's getting ready for the honey flow, that's all they're talking about because they realize in their mind, bees are there to make honey, and I want to capture all the honey I can get. But one of the things that happen with people that think that, they start out by putting 2 and 3 honey supers on top of that hive. And they don't really make it. It gives them, it gives them too much room to try to protect. And that's where you wind up with pests and anything like that. So those are the different things, like I said, and I think we mentioned a while ago, before you start with feeding, if you are feeding or treating, don't use honey supers during that time. I think here I see it mentioned still winter starvation. You got to watch those things. I mean, those things can happen quick and it don't take long. You can just check that hive, and if you don't check it right, because the weather's cold, you don't know what the stores should be, and you wind up that hive starving to death. But you can feed them, and you see on here where it talks about the protein patties. That's why I just call them pollen patties. There's some people feed straight dry pollen back to the bees. One of the things I worry about too, and I haven't had a problem with it, is you can feed back your pollen. If you set up pollen traps on your hive, you can feed that pollen back to your bees. Irradiated pollen is like a lot of people take pollen and eat pollen, which you can, but that you buy out of the grocery stores or health food stores, a lot of that is irradiated pollen. I don't know if it has caused problems yet, but I tell you what I have done. I have gotten, and just in January, February, I've just dusted the bees with that. And that makes them go crazy. I mean, they start laying eggs all over the place. That's if you know you got a mild winter coming on. But that's one way you can increase your hives by doing that. Some people use top box feeders. All of this we're gonna go into about these top boxes and different equipment we're talking about. We're gonna talk about that later. Some people use double deeps. I'm one of those, and some people only use a single deep. Some people use medium supers as the brood box. But all these terms mean something, and I want to make sure we get back to that on that. So we all speak in the same language. And I don't know if you guys, have you ever seen the pollen patties? The pollen patties almost look like a slab of real peanut butter. They're the color of, some people mix and make their own. I don't have time. I'll buy it. Now, we're moving on to May. If anybody don't have any questions about April, we're gonna move on to May. Now, drones in May, you want to, if you can watch your hive and see that they're producing enough drones, we're doing well. And I will explain what it looks like, almost like the head of a 22 bullet. The drone cells when the queen lays. I hope everybody knows that's in this that drones come from unfertilized eggs. Females come from fertilized eggs. So when the queen lays an egg, all the eggs are the same, but she lays an egg, and if she don't fertilize it, it becomes a drone, becomes a male. Well, those are the things you're looking for. Most of the time, they're right around the bottom of your frame. Those are bullet-shaped drone cells, and that's good. You want a good you want good drones, and you want a lot of them. And one of the things that happen is when those drones are born, they leave from that hive. They don't stay and hang out and try to mate with that queen, and they're gonna go and move into another hive. They can go over into another hive.
Your voice is going in and out again.
Okay, how about now?
That's better.
That's better. Okay, I only stepped a foot away.
Well, I know you stay in one spot. I know you can't stand still. It's hard. I understand.
I know it. I'm burning up right now.
I know. Do the best you can. We here.
Thank you.
You.
Okay. Oh, here's one thing that I'm gonna go into this a little bit deeper than I should, but anyway, when it comes to the queen laying the eggs and the worker bees, all the worker bees are female and they all have ovaries. They can lay eggs, but what retards that from the worker bees laying eggs is the pheromones from the queen. The pheromones from the queen suppresses the urge for them to lay eggs. But now here's a problem that will happen. Should the queen becomes old, because every time she lays, she releases a pheromone. Well, let's say she's breaking down, she's not laying, or she gets killed, or died. Well, there's no pheromones from her to suppress that egg laying urge from those other worker bees, and then you can wind up with what we call a laying worker. And a laying worker don't really know how to lay an egg in the cell. Sometimes these are some of the external things you'll see. You'll look at the frame and you'll see 2 and 3 eggs in there, or you see an egg put on the side instead of being on the bottom like it should be. That's one of the outward appearance that you got a laying worker. The other outward appearance is you got a lot of drones. Remember, the worker bees, they don't have the apparatus to mate, but they can lay eggs. So they cannot fertilize an egg. And remember, I told you a little bit ago, all unfertilized eggs become male. So if you see an overabundance of these bullet shapes in that hive, more than likely you got a problem with laying workers. Make sense to you guys?
Yes.
Okay, and then like I said, the bottom board should always be clean of dead bees and debris because that retains moisture and it also restricts space. But then again, a lot of times that those bottom boards like that have not been cleaned, it also attracts pests. You guys got to remember, most time beetles eat dead things. So if there's dead bees on the bottom down there and things like that, they're going to it will attract pests. So May is a good time to, and you're making sure your hives are strong and you're making sure they're building up and trying to get all that honey in one pack.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On the second to last bullet point where it says to strip down on a warm day, what does that entail? What do you mean by strip down? So I don't make any assumptions. It says when dandelions and fruit tree bloom colonies should be stripped down on a warm day.
Okay, that's when you are like with me now. That's when I'm in there checking to make sure that if you got drawing comb, make sure there's drawing comb in there. And if you got any comb in there that's bad and all that kind of stuff, that's what usually we're taking that down. We're taking that out. But what you want to do is now you're trying to put enough stuff in there where the bees will have room and they will have an area to store.
Okay.
All right. Now, the other thing here, what I want to talk to you about is right here. I just saw that it was on my mind. Right. Oh, now that first bullet point up there. What it's talking about is based on the fact that bees work up. Everything starts at the bottom. You want your heaviest part of the hive to be on the very bottom. Now, remember, these bees have just overwintered in this box. As they overwinter, they're eating the stores in the upper box, and they have a tendency to move up. So the queen and everybody moves upstairs, as I call it. So that bottom box is going to be the lightest box there. They're going to be bees still going back and forth down in there, but they're not going to be living down there. So that's one of the things that you're going to do in May. You're going to reverse your hive. If you're saying, say on the bottom is box 1 and on the top is box 2. Now what you're going to do is box 1 is going to be light. You're going to put it on top, and box 2 going to go down in the place where box 1 was. You always want to do that. You always want your strongest or heaviest part of the hive on the very bottom, the very first box. Keep interest reducers on because night is still chilly. In May, well, you know, Eastern North Carolina, we got a whole different thing, but that's one of the things you want to keep in mind. If you know, sometimes the temperature going to drop down. If it's going to drop down below 45 degrees, then I think that's something you should be concerned with. Okay, I'm trying to see what we're talking about. Extra strong colors. Oh, okay, yeah, that's the time too. You're looking for swarm cells. Now, that's something I haven't talked to you guys about, but that's something you're going to get into. There's 2 places in the hive, and what we talk about when we talk about a swarm cell is the part where the when they feed it royal jelly and they're going to turn it into a queen, and it looks like about the size, you'll see them in there. It looks like about the size of a peanut. And it looks like a peanut. Well, that's a queen cell. And if it's closed or they build it up, if it's right about, say, midway or a little bit higher than halfway, that's I know. That's a supersedure cell. I'm fighting for words here, but that's a supersedure cell. Basically, that's telling you that the queen is getting old. Somebody got the note, and now they're getting ready to make themselves a new queen. Okay, so that was all right. Now, if you get a cell that's on the very bottom of the frame, you get that queen cell on the very bottom of the frame, that's a swarm cell. That's letting you know those bees are overcrowded, there's a problem, or they're getting ready to swarm out of there. So those are the type of things you're going to be keeping an eye on. So when you're inspecting your hive and you're looking through your hive in May, you're going to be looking for those things. Do you have an overabundance of drones in there? Do you have, sometimes you go in your hive, you got 4 or 5 queen cells in there. Those are some of the things you're going to be looking out for. Well, yeah, I was just talking about you should have a strong hive too. Well, unless some of those people, I get people all the time trying to buy, I guess you want to say bee equipment that's on sale. They'll try to buy it out of Ace Hardware and the flea market down the street and everything like that. But a lot of times these things are more so knockoffs. They're not real strong or whatever. What these things, I think it's Tractor Supply now sell bee suits. They advertise them as bee suits, but a lot of those things are just Tyvek suits. All I can tell you do is if you're gonna buy bee equipment, buy it from a reputable dealer. Like me, I tell you, you can use Daydon, you can use Miller Bees. A lot of these are Saponi Creek apiaries. A lot of these are local right here to us. You got Bailey Bee Supply. You go to people like this that's in North Carolina that that really sell bee equipment. That's one of the better ways that you can find where you don't have that problem. Now it's talking about propolis. Propolis, the bees use propolis to help keep the hive sterile. And what I mean by that is there's no germs in the hive. Propolis is the resin that comes from cherries. It really looked like dirty chewing gum to me. You know, that kind of chewing gum that you used to find up under the desk, that's what it looks like. But that is a all natural antiseptic. And they'll glue the hives down. They're using that. They put that propolis anywhere where there's a weak spot in the hive, or if anything can get in it, they'll pack that hole. And then when you're using, if you got a weak hive tube, all you're gonna do is bend it. You know, it's not gonna work. I've had bees. Some bees do put out more propolis than others, but most of the time here in North Carolina, we're using the Italian stock of bees, and on average. But I've never run into them where I run into the hives that are that bad, glued down. We talked about it a little bit ago, so in May, that's still a good thing. If you're running into hives that are real strong, you can make splits, or you can make nukes if you want to sell bees. Nukes is really that word meaning the nucleus of a hive. On an average, it's 5 frames, and they'll take 5 good frames of bees, and take a couple of frames of honey, bees, and got a queen in it. And you basically setting up the nucleus of a hive. And those things are selling, I think right now, they're running about 180, over $200 now. If you just want a nuke hive. And they really work well. Yes.
Barry, how many frames are actually have bees? I understand it's 5 frames. But you said some have honey. Is it a combination?
Yeah, I do a combination. I put in a 5-frame nuke. In the weather like this, I'll put 1 frame. Some people may put 2. All right, 2 frames. You got honey frames, and then I also want I put this in. You got pollen, honey, and everything. But that's what I want the bees to feed off. But you also want drawn comb. Because remember, you got a queen in there too. You want her laying. So if you bought a 5-frame nuke for me, basically that's an operational hive when you get it. But it's only 5 frames. Now you can take that 5 frames. You can put it in an 8-frame box. Or you can put it in a 10-frame box, but let the bees build up first. Now some people buy packages of bees, a package, usually a 3-pound package, maybe 1,500 bees. Some people may tell you less, but anyway, now that when it comes to packaged bees, sometimes those queens, depends on where you're getting them from, they're not completely mated. She may supersede herself in the first 7 days. And what I mean, if she's running out and she's running out of sperm and she's not laying eggs, she will supersede. So a lot of people buy packaged bees, and within the first couple of weeks, that hive has swarmed on them, especially if you're new at this. So, but usually a nuke has an established queen. She's been accepted by the bees, and she's already laying. So that gives you a foot up about 6, I would say approximately about 5 weeks, man. You got to jump there. They're already rolling. I think, what was it? About 100. I think it's about $120 now. If anybody out there bought any, know, I think it's about $120 for a package bee, a 3-pound package. Has anybody bought any bees, or do anybody know?
I think 120 is pretty close. I've seen them, range maybe up a little bit higher, but 120 is probably the least expensive I've seen.
Right, for a package?
Yes.
What about nukes? Have you seen anybody with nukes? I know I've seen them 180 and up. I see them 180 and up, depends on what type.
Yeah, they're all over the place. I've seen 150, 175. The early ones, of course, are up the more expensive, but later on I've seen them, I've seen some 150s.
Yeah, like right around this time of year, what you're saying is most everybody got the further you get into June, you're really not looking for packages. So the price of packages will start going down. But the early part, April, May, when everybody's trying to build up, when I used to buy a lot of packages, I would buy packages in February to make sure that they was built up and ready to go to pollination. So that's the difference. It's basically, what do you want them to do? And if you don't have bees, when the best time to buy them? If you buy a package bee, if you can find a package bee or whatever, outside of the nectar flow, you're gonna wind up having to feed that bee all winter long. That bee, just keep them alive. So you really want them to build up and grow and, be ready to stand on their own. Any questions about that?
So are you saying, it sounds like you're saying it's not the right time to buy bees right now?
Well, there's sort of a dearth right now, but the dearth started a little bit early. And what I mean by that, the honey flow it slows down in July,
Mhm.
but it'll come back because I produce honey in August, September, and October. I guess some people, what's that term they used to use by late summers? What they call it, Indian summer.
Oh, I missed.
I've been able to extract honey all the way into September and October. Yes, go ahead. So again.
Oh, sorry, I missed part of what you were saying because it went out. This, what you were saying went out.
Okay, what I'm saying is, no, I wouldn't go out trying to buy bees in July and August, unless I was putting them into another hive. Now, if I was buying them to augment a hive, yeah, I would do that because I already got a standing hive there that's got
So
all the pollen and nectar in it.
So
Yes,
what
ma'am.
about starting?
If you're brand new and starting, no, I wouldn't just try to start a hive, August, that late in the year. I wouldn't try to start them that late.
So when do you start them is what I'm asking, because I would be starting. I haven't started.
Well,
Preparing.
I would wait. Okay, if I didn't do it this year, if you don't do it this year, I would wait for the next season that's coming up, the next April.
What do you mean if I don't do it this year? You
If
mean?
you don't get into it if you don't get into it right now, during this summer right now,
Yeah.
deeper you get, the closer you get into July, the further you get into July, your window is closing to stop. That's what I'm trying to say. And see, we're
Okay.
already middle of July right now.
I understand. I'll have to call you and we'll have a talk about that. Thank you.
Jakeisha,
If you
I
want
was
to
gonna
feed,
add-
if you want to feed them and have them dependent on you the whole winter, then you can get bees anytime you want.
Well, I want to get started so I can get accustomed to them so they will be ready for next year. So I thought it would be a good idea to go ahead
Well,
and
see, you
get
can,
started.
as I was telling you earlier, you can
Mhm.
start at the end of March, and those bees can be ready for the honey flow even in like May and June and all that. So you can get started in March and be ready for that whole year of honey flow.
Jakeisha, I'm going to add in, a lot of times to get bees delivered so that you can pick up the package of bees in like early March, you'll need to order them in October. So it's actually coming up on time when you'll be looking to order package bees so
Okay.
that you'll then have them for early spring.
Thank you. So that's the information I guess I'm looking for. Like if someone can give me a timeline of like what I should do now and then when I should get my bee. Oh, well, I need to order them. If I'm going to have them for next season, when is the time to order them and where should I order them from? That's the information I want to get.
Well,
So-
that's the thing I'm trying to get across to you. You're gonna have to work with someone, and then there's a lot of beekeepers in the area that sell packages and nukes. But on an average, now what Cindy just said is true. When I was buying bees, I'd had to put my order in now for 500 packages that would be ready for me by March. You see what I'm talking about? Now that's where you gotta order them. But I mean, you can order 1 or 2 packages, that time, but the bees are not gonna be ready for you until March. You see, but if you're dealing with somebody local, or whatever, you may have some right here, then you can get packages and things local. I know several guys here that got them. But that's the best time, as I was trying to say to you, is the best time you work with somebody. And then I wouldn't advise anybody the closer you get to the fall of the year, I would tell you to wait.
Okay, so what about getting the equipment? I could get
Yeah,
everything.
get your equipment now.
That's what
You
I
need
was
to get
asking.
equipment.
So
Yeah, that's good.
when you said get equipment and get everything you need, to me, that included bees. So that's why I'm like, wait a minute,
Okay.
I'm missing something. Like that's everything I need. I need bees. I don't care about everything else. I do. But if you said everything, I included everything.
Okay, got you. All right. So that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, bees, right now you need to get The bee equipment is not gonna spoil. Get the
Right.
equipment, get it painted, get it put together. If you get it unassembled, do all that now.
Okay,
This is the time to do that. Get your
okay,
bee
that
suit.
makes more sense.
Yeah, there
That-
you go. Okay, now I
Okay,
understand what you're asking.
Yeah, that's the part I was missing. Thank you. That helped.
All right. All right. Now, one of the other things too is a lot, I'm looking into July. And if you see here, it talks about the latter part of June. But now it's July, which we know that the honey flow goes down. But, and this is one of the other things that I'm telling you too here, is in May and June, in this area of North Carolina, east of, and it is drawn back, east of I-95, a lot of us was making clary sage. That honey was being produced, you know, in May, June timeframe. But it has drawn back now, going back towards the West Coast. They've come up with a synthetic oil that they're using to make, I think it comes from China, don't take me wrong, but that's why the clary sage right now, as a cash crop, a lot of farmers is not growing it. And we was always here from just about every county east of 95 was growing, they had clary sage. Especially in the Edenton area and places like that. The Avoca plant, which is in Mary Hill, North Carolina, they would process in clary sage. But now, some of the farmers that I was making clary sage on their farm is telling me we're not growing it next year, or they've been out of it for 2 years. So those are the type of things that in July, you basically almost got to be a horticulturalist, really, to keep up with knowing what's in bloom in your area and knowing what your bee is going to be after. One of the other things that my bees are doing, that I'm not my bees, but when I watch bees, like cotton. A lot of people don't like cotton, but I know there's cotton right now blooming, and that's weird, man. Cotton is short, maybe 12, it ain't even 12 inches high, really, and it's already getting yellow blooms on it. And every time I look at that, I get the urge, I need some bees in this field, you know, because bees make cotton honey. They bring it in by busload. But a lot of people don't like cotton honey because it crystallizes very fast. But they have a high moisture count, and the high moisture count is because bees are bringing in water. In August, they have clues that in July and August, you seen how we got these over 100-degree days. They're gonna keep that hive. They got to keep that hive cool. Okay, but things like that, I guess we're gonna talk about a little bit later, where we're gonna the different things that are all out there, like aster. You got the sunflowers. Oh, great, sunflower. And this is the time too, you gotta watch, especially, you know, now I don't know if everybody put that out, but I move bees a lot. And I noticed that I was having a lot of pest problems. And one of the things I found out is stress on bees. During this time when it's real hot and you're moving bees in the heat of the day, or you're stressing them by going in them, you're just going in there in your backyard. You're going in them too much, all that, you can stress them. And when you stress them, you wind up with different diseases. You wind up with different pests, especially I'm not gonna say varroa mites, but anytime bees are stressed, you're gonna wind up with hive beetles and things like wax moth, you know. I think, well, I'm gonna get ready, give everybody a little break here, but anybody got any questions before we go on? Anybody got any questions? If you don't have any questions, I want everybody to go ahead and take about 10 minutes. And then we'll start back up.
We will come back at 5 minutes after 4.
No.
It's 3:54.
Oh,
Okay, 5 minutes after 4.
no. All right. No, yeah, come back 5 minutes after 4. That's fine.
Okay, all right, thanks.
I missed it. Yeah, right.
I'm looking at it.
All right, so
I got it. Can y'all hear me now? Cindy,
Well, you're breaking up a bit. I could hear you, but I didn't know you were talking to us.
Okay, yeah, we're just making sure that we got the sound back and we're still ready to roll.
Okay, well, you sound good there. That
Yeah.
sounds good.
and I'm talking from the side.
Okay, you were going in and out, China, that's all. Okay.
Hey, everybody, you about ready?
Ready when you
Everybody
are.
back? No eating or drinking, no eating or drinking during class.
At my house, I can eat.
Okay, I'll leave you alone then. All right, is everybody back? Have I got everybody back? I'm willing to give them a couple more seconds. Go back up to the top
are
one.
we on August?
Go back, yeah, go back to July, the top July.
Of July? The first July one?
The first slide of July. Okay, hey, I'm talking. Everybody here, right? Okay. All right, what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to go back and break this up a little bit. In July, this is one of the things I really want you to watch for is that honey flow that's coming in. And then you watch for your slowdown. But I want you to keep a check on it, especially if you've harvested honey from them. I want you to definitely keep a good check. But here's one of the good things about harvesting honey from honeybees is, you remember the thing where you used to have the returnable bottles and you return the bottles to the store and whatever, they fill them back up. But they send them back to the bottle, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, whoever. They refill them and sell them again. Well, the honey supers work the same way. Once you uncap, extract that honey, then you can you put that back on the bees. The bees will clean that up and they will refill those cells and do them again. So that's one of the good things, but you want to watch and see if there's a slowdown. You definitely got to keep an eye out for the pests and things like that. And like we were saying, if the bees are not flying, don't ignore it. Check inside. As I was telling you a while ago, a lot of diseases. You can lose your queen during this time, especially you got to be careful when you're going in and out of them. And you always get a sign if you kill that queen. Be careful taking your frames out. Always do them from the outside. You know, pull them from the outside because the queen more likely is going to be in the middle. Whether using a 10 frame or 8 frame, or just using got a 5 frame new. Always pull the frames from the outside. Don't try to pull a frame from the center. Because more than likely you're going to roll that queen, which will kill it. Like I said, too many, and this is part of that inspection I was telling you a while ago. Do you have an overabundance of drone cells on one frame? Just look at it. You got 2 or 3 frames of nothing but drone cells, you got a problem. No queen. You got different diseases. Beehive have always smelled good to me. If it's some type of foul brood or something like that you've got, there's going to be a smell, an unpleasant smell. That's the best way. I hate to use the word just stinking, but that's what it really is. These are the type of things you're looking for anytime you're in the hive. Really, you want to know see and know what the bees are doing. Well, like I said, you're going to usually, that's when now, this is telling me to do something, like I said, replace and melt down when it comes to these frames. Okay, that's one of the winter jobs to me. That's what I'm going to do that in the winter. But that's how based on how much equipment you got. If you need it back, then that's why let me change that back. If you got too many, you don't have a lot of equipment, then maybe you want to go ahead and repair that equipment right then. August. Okay, as I was telling you about cotton blossom honey, August is a good time for it. Most of the 99% of the farmers I deal with, I would say that they don't spray. But some of the farmers that I used to know, when I used to make cotton honey on their farm, they used to spray something called Bidrin. And that's a dangerous chemical. It even got on its warning label. It tell you if you're working around Bidrin, wash those clothes separate from your clothes with your family. Don't just don't throw that bee suit or whatever you're wearing out if you don't walk out in that cotton field and it's been sprayed with Bidrin. Bidrin, we used to have a thing here in North Carolina called the boll weevil. Well, the boll weevil was replaced by what they call it, the brown stink bug. Yeah, that's what damages cotton now mostly. And that's what the Bidrin is really there for. But those are the type of things that a lot of farmers now are growing organic cotton and they're growing different things. They don't use any type of pesticides on them. And they're easily to find, especially here in Eastern North Carolina. So like I said, cotton is blooming now. I wouldn't have told you that earlier, but I'm telling you now, I've driven all the way to Wilmington, all over Eastern North Carolina in the past week. And everywhere I've been in the past week, I see cotton blooming in the field. Some people used to be riding with me and used to tell me all the time, I get sick of you saying I could put a beehive over there. Everywhere I see a cotton field, that's the first thing going by my head. All right. I don't know about anybody else. Let me touch base on this too, because right now I am harvesting honey. I don't know if it's got it up here, but you can harvest all the honey you want. You can pull it. And if you get tired and you leave it sit in your honey house or your garage or wherever you plan on extracting, and you leave that honey set for 3 days or more, I can guarantee you hive beetles gonna get in and destroy it. They're gonna slime it. You won't be able to use it. So those are one of the things you want to make sure of, that if you're gonna extract honey, if you're gonna harvest the honey off the hive, make sure you're gonna go ahead and extract it. Here they talk about requeening. Now, one of the things I do about in August when I'm looking at beehives and I'm checking, if I see real spotty brood, you know, most of the queens they'll lay a full pattern of eggs out. But if you see where there's a lot of space has been skipped, to me, that's a sign that this queen is beginning to break down. So a lot of times I'll think about requeening. Now, some people don't requeen. They may they see eggs in there less than 24 hours old or what have you. They'll get rid of that queen and let them make their own. They'll make their own queen. But with what I was doing, I didn't have time for that. But if you're a hobbyist and you got time for it, you can do that. They'll make their own queen. I think queens are now what, $30, $40, $60. Yeah, and up. Depends on, and it also depends on the stock that of queen that you want to buy. Well, some people, now I do believe in this, where it look down there where it says this is a 7-day job, 7-day-a-week job. For me in beekeeping, it has always been more than a you got to be ready when the bee's ready. And the bees don't have a specific day. They're not off on Sunday. They're not off on Saturday. A lot of you are going to get calls where there's a swarm of bees Sunday morning, Father's Day. So what are you going to do? So you're gonna either go do it or you're not. So if you're going to be in this profession, you got to have a good time all the time. That's what I didn't say today. I want everybody to know I'm still having a good time. All right, looking into August. Anybody got any questions about August? Then we're going to move on to September. September is a busy month. That's what surprised me with extracting, August harvest, and everything. Oh, and I'm gonna go back to that. Before you get ready to extract honey, you don't have to run fast. You can leave that honey on the bees. That's the best place to store it, and you can store it there longer than 3 days. Okay, so if you don't have time to extract it, leave it on the bees. Don't grab it and go take it. I'm gonna take this honey because somebody might steal it, the bees might steal it. And you go sit it in your garage or sit it in your honey house, and you get busy or have to run out of town on an emergency or something, better call a neighbor, tell them come get that honey and extract it for you, or your nearest beekeeper, because if you don't, you just ruin that on an average of 40 pounds of honey, 45 pounds. So you're extracting honey in September. Like I said, I've extracted honey all the way up into October. Depends on goldenrod. That's another good honey. Here in this area, Eastern North Carolina, goldenrod grows wild on the side of the highway and everything else. Lots of pollen. Bees, when I open up a hive, I can smell the pollen from the goldenrod. Yep, that's one of the things. If you don't want to reheat, like me, to me, honey is raw. I think now they want us to use the word unprocessed, unfiltered. But raw is you extract the honey, I strain the honey, and that's it. I don't filter, I don't use any heat processing. And even though we call it a hot room, basically you want to, in the garage with some people extracting honey in the garage with no air conditioning, maybe a fan blowing on you, just keep you cool. But that's it. You don't want anything. Oh, let me throw this out. And also, if you're doing it in the garage, make sure it's bee tight. Then no bees can get in there with you, because the bees will steal every bit of your honey back. All right, to build up winter stores, super should be off. This forces the bees to fill the lower brood boxes. Now, I have done that. What I'm telling you that I've done in that time, if say the bees were just putting a little bit, so you go in that honey soup, or you got a 10-frame honey soup, and you maybe find 2 or 3 frames with some wet nectar in it, or maybe even some capped honey. I'll take it and turn it on its side and move it away from the bees and make them go back, which they will. They will go and rob that out and put it back in the hive. But that's where you want it in the bottom box. You want the majority of your winter stores to be, fall or winter stores to be down in the bottom. How's that? That's okay? We'll move on into October then.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The fall winter stores in the bottom box, what does that do? to leaving the super on there?
But that's what I never understood. I mean, yeah, let's say you just running deep, one high body,
Yeah.
and you're using that honey super because it's full of honey. You're using that as feed for the winter. Okay, that's why we leave it on. But if you're a beekeeper, like some of us are, if you're running 2 deeps, I don't keep a honey super on the bees. I don't run a honey super in the winter time. There's enough food in those 2 deeps, they're gonna take care of them for the winter.
To be brood, brood.
Yeah. High bodies, high bodies, deep supers, I'm talking about the same box, it's just different names. Yeah, go ahead.
And you got the queen separator on top of your deeps.
Oh.
So that they don't get to the.
That's a good question. Let me tell you, I always have to remember to do that. A lot of times I got a queen excluder because I don't want her going up laying in the other honey, and I'll mess around and leave that queen excluder. And sometimes that's a terrible thing because the bees can move through the excluder. They'll go up top where the food is. She'll wind up down there by herself and stop or freeze. So those are things you gotta remember. Take the excluder out. Some of us old time beekeepers call them honey excluders instead of queen excluders. All right. But yeah, it depends. I'm gonna ask you, Sandy, because I know you've had bees during the winter months. Do you run double deeps or do you just use a story and a half? I guess I call it sometimes. That's 1 deep and 1 medium soup for winter storage.
Yeah, so I don't use any deeps anymore. I got rid of them all and I use all mediums. So what I tend to use in the winter is depending on the hive, I'll run them in either 2 or 3 mediums. So it's about, I think 3 mediums, about 2 deeps.
Yeah, that's to me, I was gonna say that's about a story and a half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gave up on the deeps.
Yeah, you're a rookie.
I don't have these muscles like you do. Yeah.
I got beekeeper's disease. That's a bad back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna start using shallow supers.
Yeah, so I thought about that too. I can lift the mediums and I can move frames up and down wherever I want them, and I love that. So,
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's what you run in the winter, and as far as your food stores, and you keep enough food stores on your bees. And like I was telling you way back earlier, when the temperature is warm in the winter, say November, December, you got hot weather, and your bees are flying, you need to be checking them. I mean, you get out there and you just check the stores. Some people kind of raise them up from the back, a little fill on them. And if they start to feel like you need to supplement their food, and during that winter months, I'm telling you, if you're a beekeeper that's making, if you're using it as a salary or making money with it, during the winter months, everything is going out. There's nothing coming in. You're not making any money. You're not, you got to buy medicine. That's money going out. You got to buy supplemental feed. That's money going out. So that's the way that flows. It's a money flow in the wintertime. If you don't keep your bees. All right. So you don't have a honey flow in the winter. You have a money flow. Everybody got me there? We all right? We're gonna move on into October like I started before I got rudely interrupted by Terry. No, I'm glad. That was a good question, Terry. Okay, depending on the fall flow. If it is weak, we may need to consider supplemental feeding. We keep talking about supplemental feeding. Now, like I said, you can use this sugar water and stuff like that. Now, I never change. Some people change. If I'm gonna use sugar water, I use the winter mix, the 2-to-1 mix we saw a while ago. I use that. I don't know. I gotta watch. I've had it happen a long time ago. Watery syrup is one of the causes of Nosema. It's like a dysentery to the bees. It's highly contagious. I think, no, he spoke on that, Adolphus spoke on that. But anyway, those are one of the things that you want to be careful for if you're going to feed, but don't hesitate to feed. Just think about it. Say, when I'm feeding, when I'm treating, I'm not making honey. So you don't need a honey super on there to do this. On an average, a story and a half of bees is a normal winter. The bees will eat approximately 30 pounds of honey. Okay, so you're talking 30 pounds. On an average, holds about 45 pounds. And then you got what honey you got down in the brood box. Bees can start with plenty of honey on side if they cannot break cluster and move. So if the weather drops down too low, we found bees that they freeze to death and they starve to death, and they got honey right there. All they had to do is turn their head and eat it, you know. But that happens in the winter. And I think one of the questions I get a lot of times, I hear people ask all the time, because they see it in these books and on YouTube and everything about wrapping hives. You know, most of the people that wrap their hives are up north somewhere, or Canada, or what have you. In Eastern North Carolina, I've never seen a need to wrap a hive. So, but if you want to, don't let me stop you.
Can you
Okay.
explain cluster?
Say again?
Can you explain cluster?
Okay, great. That's good. I'm sorry. I'm speaking as if I know everybody understands it. The cluster is, as the bees, as the weather get colder, the bees get together. They get together to keep each other warm. It's I'm gonna call it a ball, but it's not perfectly round. But the good thing about the cluster is the queen more than likely is in the center of it, or maybe they can't. No, bees are mathematically correct. She's in the center. I'm gonna hold with that. But anyway, but the way that cluster works, the bees that are on the outside of the cluster, they gradually rotate themselves all the way back in to the center where they get warm, and they rotate themselves back out. That's what part of the vibration is with their wings that they're doing. That way they keep the hive the same temperature, or they can raise the temperature up. So that's what the cluster is. Now, I'll tell you this, we've run into, and in the winter, we have those hot days I was talking about, and especially when you got a crazy beekeeper like me that's out there feeding them pollen, getting that queen to lay more. Well, if a cold spot hit, the cluster gonna shrink down. Well, into that larvae that got laid out there, gonna die. It's gonna freeze, and you're gonna see it at the entranceway. So those are things you got to watch, but that's the main thing of the cluster in the winter months. They're all over the place right now on the inside. Everybody can be wherever they want to be now, but they'll cluster up as the weather goes down or gets too moisture or what have you. But on the average, that's what the cluster does. And you know, here's some of the old people used to say is, I don't feed my bees in the winter because I don't want them to break cluster. I'm not going to break cluster. Well, when you see them flying in December, they broke cluster themselves. So get in there and feed them. I mean, that's just common sense. But as I said, you don't break that hive all the way down. I guess it's talking about strip down. We don't want to break that hive all the way down and pulling frames out, sitting it down on the ground and looking for the queen and all that stuff. Not when they just broke cluster, they're out, they're making cleaning flights, all this kind of stuff. You don't want to do that. You want to check them out quick, get them back together. But in the spring of the year, when the weather's nice and you know the repeat days after that, it's going to be very nice. Yeah, you can break that hive all the way down, go through it, clean your bottom boards, everything. I'm an old beekeeper. I have a habit of setting frames beside the hive. You need some of those frame hangers on the side, because you set them on the side, ants can get them, get the queen and things like that. Anybody got any question about that? I guess you see here speaks to the temperature, rises into the 50s, check food stores and feed as necessary. And don't hesitate to feed. But what I'm saying, don't hesitate to feed. If that hive is already small and weak, don't go putting 2 pollen pads on it because you're thinking, I want them to eat all of this so they can grow. No, you're just creating your own problem.
I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
You had mentioned something about the putting the frames on the side and the ants can get them. Do you have trouble or problem with like ants or just fire ants getting in your hives, period?
I've had ants in, but I've never had a problem with them. Some people may have. Especially here lately, you see a lot of fire ant hills around the bricks and things where people got their hives. But I haven't had a problem where they damaged the hives or anything. I don't know of anybody that have, but in this beekeeping world, there's people that have different problems. But I mean, a lot of problems that I've never heard of, but I've never had a problem with ants. Now, the only thing is when you ship bees, if you're shipping bees out of state, especially if you're going west, fire ants for me came from out west, but now that you can't ship them back west. If they suspect you got any fire ants on those hives going out to California, they're gonna turn them around. You're going through border inspection. Can't transport fire ants. Hives gotta be inspected. Anybody got any more questions? Because I'm gonna end this here at November, December. I'm gonna end this in November, December. But really, remember we talked about this. I talked about the beekeeping. You see what I got right there where it says beekeepers rather than bee havers. I know a lot of bee havers, and that are people that they find bees every year. They buy bees, like we were just talking about, you're getting bees in March, April, and before July, those bees are dead. You're a bee haver. You gotta make sure then you gotta go buy some more. And I hear people all the time that come to me and I say, oh, you got bees. They say, well, they died. And they've only had them 2 months. So those are the type of things that you really got to do. Go to mentoring programs, join bee clubs, get folks like myself, different ones that are keeping bees already that you know are successful. Those are the type of people you want to mentor you. Now, I want everybody to know this because I had to, it had hurt my feelings. Because I used to start this class off and I used to teach people all the time. And there's one of my main things I used to say, I will not raise your bees for you. There's a difference between mentoring and raising your bees for you. I want everybody to know that. I will answer your questions over the phone. If you don't live 100 miles away from me, if I can get to you, I will come by and mentor you. But when I come by and mentor you, that means I'm gonna talk you through it. I'm gonna help you. I tell you what I see and give you good information. But if you want to sit on the porch and drink mint juleps while I go out there and fix your bees, you are terribly mistaken, okay? You're gonna be a bee haver. And you're gonna be a berry hater because I don't care. If you don't take care of your bees, let me help you take care of your bees, help you explain what you're doing, I'm gonna let that go. That's not a scolding, that's just a point that I'm just saying. A lot of people think that mentoring means that we mentors will come to your house and raise your bees for you. So those are the things that I'm saying that you should do, especially as new beekeepers, or if you're old timer and you've been at it a long time, like some of us. The only one I know I see on here, she's muted. Lynette Hewlin, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Why don't you tell your story about what you got in your yard so I don't have to tell it?
My bees.
Yes.
Yes, we just recently received some bees, and of course I have not gotten my bee suit yet, so I'm not getting very close to them, but I do see that they're on the outside of the hive on really, really hot days. When the days that was kind of cool, it was not as many bees on the outside, but Barry checked those hives and he's gonna have to get another bee box because one box is too full. Am I correct, Mr. Hines?
Yes, you are. She is. That's what I didn't want to tell you a story. I'm going to her house this evening to check her bees and make sure everything is okay. And she's got a double deep there that's really full of bees. We're going to split that one today. And this is part of her training. And this is one of the things, like I said, I will mentor. This is mentoring. But like I said, I'm not gonna, she's made an excuse that she don't have her bee clothes, but I'm gonna give her some bee clothes. But anyway,
Oh, wow.
I'm there to help. She's a new beekeeper. She's certified. And now we're gonna get her, bring her all the way on in. And Richard Hewlin, we're gonna bring them all the way in into this bee thing. And I'm gonna try to do my best to make sure they don't become bee havers. But anyway, I wanted to bring that. I'm mentoring them. They don't live that far from me. Take pictures, send me things, tell me what's going on, and I will come and look, or I can tell you over the phone. But this is what I'm getting at. Anyone can mentor if you've got some experience. And I tell everybody, beekeepers have done everything to include trap Sasquatch. So be careful what people tell you to do with your bees. You make sure it makes common sense. Okay. You guys have anybody got any questions for me?
I do, of course.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you say you are harvesting currently?
Yes.
Are you offering any, I guess, sessions so people can come see?
Have you got bee clothes?
I can get some to my house. Amazon.
That's what I'm saying. The biggest thing in this is right now I tell you what, I'm not gonna go into that part of the harvest where I'm taking it from the field. I may can bring somebody in to watch the extraction process. I think that would be a good learning lesson.
Well,
Right.
I have a drone, so I just kind of wanted to observe. I haven't been on a farm. It's a lot I haven't exposed myself to. So just thought I'd ask.
We're gonna work with you.
Okay.
I'm gonna work with you. Look, hey, I'm not gonna leave you by yourself. We got you this far. All right.
I'm not worried. I got your phone number and I know how to find you.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. I'm going to change that number anyway.
It doesn't matter. And I'm an IT professional. I can find you whether you want to be found or not, darling.
All righty. I've been calling on her most of the day because I know that she has these, and Cindy is helping us out a lot too with helping. She's going to be a mentor, and we're going to go over and kill some of her bees for her. But not just you, Cindy. But do you have any recommendation for people that in the outlying areas about mentoring? That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I guess if people are, they can contact me, tell me where they are, and I may have some suggestions in specific counties that we could get them someone who is closer by. And anytime that I'm nearby, I'll be happy to come by. And also we do have a couple extension offices where we're trying to get demonstration hives so that people can go and see what's going on there. Trying to expand that. Feel free to email me or text me pictures or ask questions, whatever you need to do.
Is your email address in the email that we get from B School?
It is.
Okay.
And I got it. And she's yeah, you can get in touch. But I'm not telling you guys that she's an extension agent. I'm not trying to tell everybody to drive her crazy and everybody run over her house and kill her bees. But I know she has experience. And a lot of people tell me, don't mention my name. There's some others that I know that's on this thing right now, that's within the sound of my voice, that got some bee experience. But what I really want is to get more people to assist with new people. And that getting the new people on, especially when they're on fire like we got right now. I got a bunch of people on fire that are really ready to do this. But we're gonna work with you, and we're gonna be reasonable. All right. Now, if nobody have anything else for me, I'm gonna get ready to close this down. I know it's a little early, but as I said, I'm gonna let you out of school early today. Anybody got any questions? Okay, all right. I'm gonna let you guys go. You'll be getting something on the next, our next class is the 28th of July. That's the fourth Thursday in this month. I'm working with another speaker that's a commercial, he's a commercial beekeeper. I'm working with him to come and speak on one of the subjects. And you'll see that soon. I'll send out a flyer or something on who's gonna be here on the next class. It's gonna be me, but I try to keep you guys from having to listen at my voice all the time. I want somebody else to be in this. And so a lot of the people that I know that have been in beekeeping for years, I mean, 15, 20 years or longer, I will be bringing some of them in to speak with you on some of the same subjects that we're going over now, like site selections and all that stuff. These guys have done it and still doing it. All right. So, oh, and we haven't quite put it up yet, but we got it. We are using Beekeeping for Dummies 5th edition. That's the latest edition right now. That's the book we're going to be working on. So that's going to be on the curriculum that Ara's getting ready to kick out. We sat down and we made up our mind. That's what we're going to do. So everybody try to get you a copy of Beekeeping for Dummies, the 5th edition. That's the latest.
It's on Amazon.
Everything's on Amazon. Everything on Amazon. Do Amazon sell bees?
They probably do, but they sell honey too. So that's why I need to buy some, just letting you know.
Yeah, I said July. Yeah, July 28th is the next class.
Also, when the meeting is in Hickory as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do the class and then I'm gonna head down there. I know,
Awesome.
That's the thing I didn't ask. Anybody on here going to the conference on the 28th in Hickory, North Carolina?
I'll be there on the 29th and the 30th, not the Thursday.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna get there on the 28th. But we're gonna do, I'm still gonna be able to do the class, but we might move it, depends on the speaker that I got coming. They said they may not can make it on a Thursday. We might have to shift things to a Wednesday, but I gotta get it approved by all these other folks that's working with me. But anyway, I'm glad you said it, but on the 28th through the 30th is the annual summer conference at Hickory, North Carolina. There's also a program. I got some people that are going there to take their journeyman's test. I got, like myself, I'm in the born and bred class. I'm going up there for that because I want to learn to grow and rear my own queens. I've been cheating. I've been letting the bees grow them, and that's only by accident. If I don't catch them growing them, they grow up. They make their own queens. But if I catch them, I bring a new queen in. But trying to get the stock up right here in North Carolina. But anyway, I'm going for that. And some people are going down to take the journeyman's test. And if I find out, I'll talk about it in the next class, whether they passed or not, all right? It's their personal business, but I'm gonna advertise it. I'm gonna put it on YouTube.
So I have a question about that. You could take the certified exam then as well, right?
Yeah. Oh,
that's
look,
my.
listen, let me tell you something about the North Carolina State Beekeepers Association. I want this to answer your question specifically. I didn't mean to cut you off. Anybody in this state can take the beekeeping test. You don't have to come to this class. You don't have to go to nobody else's class. You could be walking down the street in Hickory, North Carolina, and you say, oh, they got a bee conference going. I want to go over there and take the test. Well, it's not the test going to cost you, but they charge a fee of, you have to be a member, you have to be a member of the North Carolina State Beekeepers Association. So if you go over there, you're walking down the street and you say, I want to join this club, they'll sign you up right there. And then you say, I want to take the test. You don't even know the business end of a honeybee, but if you want to take that test, you can. Okay? So I don't want nobody to think that they have to go to school. It's in your best interest. I don't want nobody to think that they have to be mentored. It's in your best interest. But the way the rule works, just in case you're driving through, anybody driving through Hickory, if you want to take the certified test, please have $15 in your hand, come join the club and take the test. But the test, there's no cost for the test. but you must be a member of the State Beekeepers Association. You everybody understand that?
I have one question about that. So does that mean that's the only time they offer the test, or are there other opportunities to take the test outside
Yes.
of the?
Yes, there's other opportunities to take the test in local bee clubs. You can take a test, you can take the certified test in your local bee club. If you're a member of a club or whatever, and these type of things, yeah, they usually the bee clubs usually have what we call short courses, sort of like what we're going through now. Basically, all it does is prep you to take the test. And they can test at the local level, but everything else from journeyman to master beekeeper to master craftsman has to be tested at the state level during one of their conferences, the summer conference or the spring conference. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll be calling you outside of this meeting then. Thank you.
Anybody got anything else? All right, then. Hey, as far as I'm concerned, look, I'll see you guys on the 28th or the 27th, but you will be well notified. And I thank you very much for coming out today and joining me. But hopefully by the time the next session comes, you guys be ready to take the certified test, all right? Those that want to. You don't have to be, you don't have to, it's just nice to know. All right? Y'all have a blessed day.
You too, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hi, Bill.
Stay cool, everyone.
Love.